Hi everybody, I'm here today to talk about some technology that you can use in your music class. After sharing this information with some colleagues, they encouraged me to share it with everybody, so here I am. This is the first of a series of videos, and today I'm going to be talking about Microsoft OneNote. Let's go. Microsoft OneNote is a free piece of software, free since 2015, if I'm not wrong. And it's just a great way of organizing your notes and sharing them with your students. Whatever change I make in my OneNote, it will synchronize automatically to my students. And that's extremely convenient. I could just go right away and show you what they see, what I share with them. As you can see, I have in here elements of music and then Western music history, world music, pop and jazz, a whole bunch of analysis. And then since I'm teaching IB diploma, some subject specific like internal assessments and musical links investigation, which you can see here, which might not be relevant for this video. Now, I like it because you can organize everything kind of like in the same way. I try to make it look like a textbook. And actually, I think it's much better than a textbook because they can interact with it. Like you can embed video, they can listen to the different instruments, different examples for example, for world music. That's really, really convenient. It's just so much better than a regular textbook because they can hear it, they can see it. Also, like it allows like embedding all kinds of materials. Like for example, I embed Quizlets. You can have, like YouTube videos, Spotify playlists, and many other streaming services, music streaming services. So yeah, it's really convenient. That would be the straight ahead approach, which I know a lot of people are using OneNote in this way. But I want to talk today about some tools within the software that are really useful for teaching music. The first one is that you can integrate handwritten notes. So if you have a tablet or if you have a touchscreen, in my case, I'm using an iPad, you can write there directly, which in the case of music is really convenient because musical notation presents a problem. Unless, of course, like you can use Finale or Sibelius, but the advantage of doing it by hand is like the students can be there during the process. On the same line, my students do homework here in OneNote because it syncs automatically to mine, so I can mark it in there, which is already really convenient. And it's so much more flexible than a piece of paper because I could embed, for example, this specific student, she thought that chords moved chromatically down in this part of the song, and I could just embed like a little screenshot of the score and prove to her that it's actually not like that, but good try, I guess. The thing, this is an analysis of Schubert. So all I had to do in this case was like I dropped the MP3 here to OneNote, and she could do the following, which is a great functionality that I use all the time. She could create bookmarks within the audio, meaning that she thought this section was section B, and this section was section C, and so on. Now, this makes such a huge difference when you're trying to find the form of a piece of music, or when you're trying to teach it, when you are trying to see like the difference in between every time a section gets repeated, like the variations in dynamics, in the melody, whatever you want to analyze. It makes such a huge difference. It's so much better than having just an MP3 with a scroll in there and having to go back and forth. Also, it's so easy to do, so I'm going to do it for you right now so you see how it's done. All you have to do is you click on the MP3, and wherever you want to create a bookmark, you just type, like I did right now, and that will create a bookmark to the point where I started typing, as you can see. Okay, so it couldn't be easier. Students can use it. And they use it in many different ways. Like, for example, I give them this physical copy, like for them to analyze. This is a little template I created some time ago. So they can find the form and they can find the dynamic curve of the song, which is extremely important when it comes to composition and arranging and, music in general. It gives you a better idea of the bigger picture of music and how things evolve and go places, right? Also, they have to do density, and then they have a little part where they could put like how instruments are added and subtracted. Now, doing this with an MP3 by itself would be pretty challenging. Now, she was using this functionality in OneNote to, help the process. Now, it's so easy to see then that this is section A and this melody, that's section A as well. And then the last one, it's so easy to see how things change every time section A is repeated, or how dynamics change, or like doing this kind of exercise, seeing the big picture of music is so much easier with this kind of tool. There's some other ways in which you can use this functionality, and I'm going to show you some ideas. For example, this day, we were doing diatonic chords, secondary dominance, and substitute dominance in class, and then they had to reharmonize a Christmas song for next day. This specific student brought this reharm of this melody, and instead of him just bringing a piece of paper and taking it home, or me keeping it, I took a picture of it, which allowed me to write notes in there in class as he was there, and also we recorded it, meaning that what you're hearing now is like the recording we made that day in class, which by the way is also really easy to do, because you only have to click, now it's playing, you only have to click this button here and it will start recording automatically, and it will just sync to his computer. So instead of leaving the classroom with a piece of paper, he left the classroom with notes on what he did, a recording, and it's going to be in a place that he's not going to lose. So yeah, it's so much better. You just have to click here and it will create a recording automatically. I can do that for you real quick, but I mean, it's really straight ahead. So yeah. Now, let me delete this. Okay. Now, some other ways of using this functionality. Look, my students practice their instruments mostly in the weekends because it's when they have access to their instruments. So they will record themselves playing, and I can give them feedback even if I'm not there, using the same functionality, meaning that this is a student playing Beethoven, and I could take this note saying, hey, in second 11, be careful because, careful with finger control, right? Because it's going slower, it's going faster. I wish I had this before. It's always better, of course, being there in person, but I mean, they can get their feedback and it's gonna be there. They can see the process and they can go back and try to see if they improved or not or what. Same thing with music technology. This is a composition one of my students made, and I could give him advice on the whole technological process, meaning like mixing, like mastering, like the composition itself, with tags, which make it so much easier for him to figure out what I'm talking about. All right, so that about audio bookmarks. Now, some other approaches to OneNote that I use all the time. These are like some excerpts of the book that my students bought at the beginning of the year. So they could highlight as a class, because they see this in the projector, right? They could highlight the most important parts, and then they made this outline of what we were going to be learning on that in this unit, in this specific unit, which is the Renaissance. All I had to do was to take a picture of the whiteboard, which, by the way, OneNote comes with a function that will let you scan whiteboards or documents, or simply take a picture, and it stays there. It's like less information gets lost, which is one of the things that I'm trying to avoid in my lessons. On the same line, my students do presentations, and instead of using a PPT, they use OneNote. They put all the information they're going to be using in here, and I will record it that day and put it in YouTube. Of course, put it private so nobody can see it. But then all I have to do is they have to click on that link, and they can go back to that day. It's like they can use that information. They can learn from each other. This is a platform for a learning community. They learn from each other. They see each other's homework. They have no problem with that. I told them at the beginning of the year, it's like, hey, we're learning from each other. We're a learning community, and this is the perfect platform to do something like this. I hope this was useful. If you liked it, please hit subscribe, because more videos are coming. I have a whole bunch of technological tools I'm using all the time. I just didn't want to make a really long video. And see you in the future. Thank you, guys.